Hey, church family, I want to encourage you and challenge you today with something very, very tangible. This very unusual time that we're living in. And I want to challenge you with this concept of unusual generosity. Right now, people are usually thinking about themselves and their families and what we're going to need to get through this weird time that we're going through with the coronavirus and our mandates to shelter in place and those kinds of things. That's usual. But right now would be an amazing opportunity for us who follow Jesus Christ, those of us who know the Lord, to live out our mission in a very tangible way. I want to read something to you from 1 John 3, beginning in verse 16. We know John 3:16. Well, 1 John 3:16 through 18 is really a helpful passage. It says, "This is how we have come to know love. He laid down his life for us. We should also lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has this world's goods and sees a fellow believer in need, but withholds compassion from him, how does God's love reside in him? Little children, let us not love in word or speech, but in action and in truth." So action, I like the word action that the CSB has here, because it's about our action. It's not about what we say in terms of loving someone, but it's what we do with that. So let me challenge you in some very specific ways. What action can you take, even in this period of time where we're socially distancing ourselves from each other, to actually show the love of God to people through your actions, through unusual generosity? Let me just say to our church family, many of you have been impacted economically by this already. You're not working right now, or maybe you're working less. Your income's not what it typically is. And you may have a need, a very tangible and specific need in your life right now that you typically don't deal with. Well, let me encourage you to contact your Connect group leader. If you're not in a Connect group right now, to contact someone on our church staff or call our church office. If there's some way that we can, in a very specific way, help one another right now to live out what the Word of God talks about here of loving each other in action and in truth, then we want to be able to do that. And then let me encourage you, if you have resources available to you, maybe you've saved for something that's non-essential in your life, a hobby or some trip that you have planned in the future, and you've been saving for that. Maybe the Lord would move you to take some of those resources to not only help a fellow brother and sister right now, but to also maybe help someone who's in your neighborhood. Maybe you have a neighbor who is out of toilet paper, and you could just spare a little bit of what you've hoarded for yourself and your family right now. I don't know, there may be some other tangible things you can do. Maybe just sitting out in your yard. People are getting outside on nice days and walking just to get out of their homes. Maybe going to your neighbors' houses and knocking on the door and just introducing yourself 6 feet apart so that they can at least have some interaction. I think people welcome those kind of things right now. But there may be some other things as you pray and ask the Lord, how can you tangibly show love to your neighbors? And then think about the people in your circles of influence. Think about your ones. During this time, have you checked on them? Have you reached out to them to text and call and just say that you're praying for them, to ask them about any specific needs they may have? Because right now, we have a really unique opportunity to be the church, whether we're meeting together physically or not. And so I want to challenge you in this time and encourage you. We serve an unusually generous God. And so it's a chance for us to show people in our world what He's really like. And then let me tell you a couple other things. Don't forget to give your tithes and offerings through the church to the Lord. You may not be working right now. So right now, to give a tithe, which you normally would give, or an offering, may really be a sacrifice for you. For the first time in your life, maybe it's something you've never really done before, to actually sacrifice something to give to the Lord. I don't know of any greater way to honor Him than to give Him a sacrificial gift. And I thought about one of our couples in our church, Jeffrey and Jill Davis, actually, and another couple on our Marshall campus. They own a coffee shop over in Marshall. And right now, that's all slowed down. And so they had an interesting thing happen in their lives this week. One of their patrons came by, a customer, and said, "We just want to give you this check for several $100s, primarily so you can meet your needs as a small business." Isn't that amazing? And they're going to be able to hopefully pay their employees during this season of time when they're not able to work as many hours as they normally would. Because for Jeffrey and Jill and this other couple, it's all about the people that work for them and valuing people. So I love that. I know you love those kind of stories too. We get the opportunity right now to do that and to be that. So let me encourage you to continue to give to the Lord through the church. And there's lots of ways you can give. You can do that online. We'll put a banner up here so you can see the various ways to do that. You can bring that by the church office if you'd like, or mail it to us. But continue to do that. And then lastly, let me encourage you to continue to be generous and pray for Angie and the boys at this time. I just want to keep that in front of us as a church because we love them and we certainly want to help them in these days. So I love you guys. I'm glad to be part of this with you. And I know that I'm praying like you, that God's going to get some real victories for the kingdom and for himself through these days. But just know that we're praying for you and we're available for you if you have any needs at all. Thanks.